Thank you everybody for joining us today. I know it's a busy time of year. There's a lot going on, so we really appreciate your taking the time to join us today. For those who don't know me, my name's Ann Kelly, and I'm gallery director here at El Zaguán. And El Zaguán is home of the Historic Santa Fe Foundation, which is a privately funded nonprofit. So all sales from our art exhibitions and shop benefit local artists such as George and Historic Santa Fe Foundation's mission. And if anybody wants to know more about our mission, you can talk to me about that later. We also have memberships, and in the lobby we have some copies. Do you mind holding that up? Copies of our printed publication. We put 2 of those out a year. Lots of fun stuff about what's going on here at Historic Santa Fe Foundation, which is a lot. And those are on that little table on the way out, along with the sign up for our email newsletter. And we are here today in honor of George Alexander's fantastic exhibition, which is on view right now, and it's going to be here through January 10th. So come back, check it out again, tell your friends, family, all of that. And then opening January 16th, we have an exhibition by Jerry Wellman, who's right here. I'm going to put him on the spot. It's going to be a combination of his installations. And are they monoprints?
Installations, monoprints, and diagrams.
So we have that to look forward to. Jerry's a local artist, as well as co-owner and director of Axel Contemporary, which I'm sure many of you have seen all around town.
Yes.
Oh, it's right outside.
Not today.
Oh, not today. Okay, often, yes. And then we're also doing a talk on January 24th. Now, George and I are going to chat for a bit, and then we'll follow it up with a Q&A. So if anybody has any questions, save those for the end. So,
All right.
welcome, George.
Thank you everybody for showing up. It means a lot to me. Don't know why you want to hear from me, but here we are.
So George, let's go travel back in time to the beginning of your art making.
Okay.
Could you tell us a little bit how that began?
Yeah.
The origin story of George the artist?
So I started drawing when I was a kid, just like any kid would probably do. I was drawing my favorite cartoon characters. I started drawing Dragon Ball Z and Gundam Wing, a lot of anime. My mom, we didn't really have a lot of money back then. And she bought me a bunch of copy paper and number 2 pencils to sort of just keep me going. And my parents were really sick when I was a kid, so I would draw as a way to pass the time, being in the waiting rooms. And I didn't know it at the time that I was really developing the skill to become an artist. And I remember one time whenever I was in the waiting room and I drew this samurai, and this guy came up to me and was like, "Wow, that's really good." And I chased him down the hallway to give it to him. And I don't know, it just really stuck with me. And unfortunately, both of my parents ended up dying whenever I was 14 due to health complications. And I went from a very small school in Mason, Oklahoma, which a cow is your closest neighbor. But the closest town is Okemah. And if you've heard of Okemah, that's where Woody Guthrie's from. And so that's kind of our little claim to fame. And I went from knowing 10 people my entire life to getting to know 460 inside of my class. And so I was a really shy kid back then, and I would sit there and draw at the cafeteria, just waiting for people to talk to me, I guess. And slowly but surely people would come up like, oh wow, you're pretty good, man. And I got known as like the kid who could draw. So they would like ask me to draw like things to put in their lockers, or draw their favorite crush's name. And then I got into tattooing really early. I started tattooing when I was 14 and gave a lot of terrible tattoos.
I was going to ask about that. Did
Yeah.
somebody show you, or did you just figure this out on your own?
How I started tattooing?
Yes.
So-
I mean, I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Somebody.
So I had a friend who had a cousin that got out of prison, and they asked me if I would tattoo them. And so they showed me how to make like a little makeshift machine. And I gave him a tattoo, and then started tattooing all of my other friends because everybody wanted to be cool. And I wouldn't like call those masterpieces by any stretch of the word. And I continued to tattoo all the way until I was about 23 or 24. Got a lot better. And I did graffiti for a little while, all through high school. And my focus, what I wanted to do when I got out of high school, or at least what I thought I wanted to do, was there was a show called Pimp My Ride. I don't know if you guys know what that is. I wanted to paint cars because of that show. And I didn't really pursue that. I initially tried to get into the Marines, but I had a small complication with my heart, and that stopped me from getting in. And so I didn't really know what I was gonna do. I was working at the casino, the River Spirit Casino back at home, and I was a security guard. One of the coolest things ever happened. I met my best friend for life there. His name's Wes, and that was like the best thing that's ever happened to me. He's a good guy, and I didn't really know what was going on. And my aunt, she tells me about this school called the Institute of American Indian Arts, and I didn't think that I had any sort of like career or anything going to school. Like, I was a terrible student, like probably graduated at the lowest classmate like in my class.
They let you out.
They let me out.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the skin of my teeth. And so I didn't really think college was going to be for me. And so when I applied to the Institute of American Indian Arts, I wasn't really expecting them to accept me. But they saw a little glimmer of hope. And that changed my life. I still was a terrible student. Like, never really could focus in class. I had a problem with drawing. I drew a lot. And anyway, I met some of the best people of my life from II. Great mentors like Tony Abeda and Nakona Burgess. They taught me how to be an artist. And I slowly began to realize that I learned a lot better just by going through the experience. And one day Tony and I were at a museum, and he's telling me about all these artists that are there. And I don't know, maybe like a month or two goes by. I wanted to impress this girl, so I take her back to that same museum and just regurgitated everything Tony told me. And so I was like, oh my God, I actually learned something, man.
Well, see, you could memorize when you were interested in something. So that's a big learning experience.
So after I graduated from II, I took 2 years off, and in 2017, I went and got my master's. I don't know why I like torturing myself, man. Like, I ended up getting my master's in studio arts at a place called the Studio Art College International in Florence, Italy. And that was an experience. I lived over in Italy for 2 years and met some really, really good people. Some of my closest friends are there too. And partied a lot, probably too much. And I what I really liked about that experience in Italy was that it actually showed me how connected I was to my community back here in America. And you don't know who you are until you get completely separated from the people that you love. And then you start to see yourself in a different light. And you begin to relate with these people, I guess in a way more intimate way when you get back, because you miss them. And I realized that I was more native than I thought, you know, and that was pretty
More
cool.
negative?
More native.
Oh, native,
Yeah,
okay.
more native.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Well, especially you were going to IAIA, so you had that
Yeah.
community, which
Yeah.
I'm sure was an amazing experience, and
100%.
then
Yeah.
you're in another world and
Yeah.
in Italy.
It was really cool. So after I graduated from Saatchi, I didn't have a fellowship lined up. I didn't have an art show lined up. And so in my mind, I thought, I guess it's time to grow up. I think I should probably just go get a job and join the world. So I went back to the casino and I started as a bar back, but they had a position opened as an executive host. And so one of the requirements was that you needed to have a master's degree, but didn't specify what kind. So I applied and they're like, well, you're the only one with the master's degree that applied, so you're gonna get the job. And I was like, tight. And so if I ever decide to not become an artist again, then I would definitely consider being an executive host again, because that was the coolest job ever. It was a lot of fun. And basically what you do is you just hang out with people all day and you make them feel happy. And you make sure that they spend their money at the casino. And so one day, one of my clients, we were eating steak at Ruth's Chris, and he asked me what did I do outside of the casino. I was like, well, believe it or not, I actually have a master's in art. And he was like, oh, no way. And I was like, yeah. He's like, well, let me see some of your work. So I was showing him, and I showed him a painting that I was working on. And then he pulls out his checkbook, writes me a check with a lot of money, and was like, if I see you here in 2 weeks, I want my check back. And so, yeah, luckily we were also getting a bonus at the same time. So I said sayonara and started painting.
So it was meant to be.
Yeah,
You were, I was going to say, keep being an artist.
Yeah.
I think we'd all agree.
As soon as, so this happened like right around the pandemic. I was working at the casino during the pandemic. And I came back to Santa Fe in 2021, 2022, something like that. And Tony and I were walking around the museums, and we went to the Museum of, the MOCNA, Museum of Contemporary Native Art. And a lady by the name of Jean Quick-to-See Smith was there. And me and Jean go way back. And she's like, oh my God, George, it's so good to see you. And she's like, do you have any work available? I was like, yeah, why don't you come up to the studio? And at that time I was at Tony's studio. And she comes up and she looks around. She's like, okay, I'm gonna buy that one, that one, that one, and that one. And I was like, excellent, wonderful. So then she then tells me, she was like, okay, the reason why I'm buying all this work is because I'm going to put you in my show at the National Gallery of Art in DC. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's pretty cool, you know? And she also stuck me in another show at the Zimmerli Gallery, which was the last show she ever curated. She passed away about 2 years ago. And without her and Tony and Nakona, like, I wouldn't be who I am today. So I owe a lot to her, for sure.
Well, and just what a progression of things.
Yeah.
Clearly, you were meant to be an artist.
Yeah.
For sure. That's a great story.
Yeah. So then, now I have my own studio in Santa Fe. It's on Don Gaspar in San Francisco. If you guys ever want to stop by, feel free. I'm always there. Took a week off, but now I'm got to get back to work. I have another solo that's coming up in March or April. It's going to be in Bethesda, Maryland, so I'm excited for that. And there's a lot of other really exciting things that are happening that are yet to be completely solidified, so you're just going to have to wait until things start to get going. But yeah, it's going to be an exciting year this year.
Things are happening.
Yeah.
And so you sign all of your paintings Ofuskie. And there's a great story behind that. That name was given to you by one of your mentors, as I understand it.
Yeah.
You want to share that one with?
So one day, Tony and I were painting at his studio, and the song comes on, and it was we were playing this little vinyl record, and one of the lyrics was like, "I come from a place called Ofuskie." And I was like, who is this guy? Because like I mentioned before, like Mason is like the smallest. It's literally a strip of road. That is it. And there's a school on this side, and there's an abandoned gas station on this side. That's all. So I was like, who's this guy singing about Ofuskie County? And so I go to Tony and I asked him like who the singer was, and his name was Billy Bragg, and he was singing with a band called Wilco, and they got the rights to sing some of Woody Guthrie's lyrics that he never released. And so from that moment on, Tony called me Ofuskie because that's what he thought that they were saying, but the right way is actually Okfuskie. And so one day I was about to sign a painting, and he was like, "Hey, Ofuskie, I'm gonna go get some coffee. Do you want something?" And it just dawned on me that it would be kind of cool to sign my paintings as Ofuskie, because it would be paying respect to a man that I really appreciate, but also to my home. And so that's kind of how the Ofuskie got started. Some days I debate on whether or not if I'll switch back to George. I mean, most people just call me George anyway, but for now, I'm gonna stick with the Ofuskie era. It's still going strong, so you know.
Well, and then some of your signatures are creatively placed as well.
Yeah.
Like this newer piece back here, you had pointed out the signatures.
Yeah, it's
kind of
like,
the part of the painting.
Yeah, it's kind of stuck in the dirt somewhere, and if you can find it, then yeah. So that was kind of fun. I really liked that, and there's an artist by the name of Kent Monkman that I went to his show at the Denver Art Museum, and he does that. He kind of like hides his signature in the piece a little bit more elegantly than I do, but that's where I kind of got the idea, was to try to hide the signature. That's the only one that I've done in this little, and then it's in the shoe on that one, as like if it's the brand for the shoe.
Yeah, it's on that astronaut's shirt.
And then, it's in the shirt over here. It's supposed to look like it's like a little graphic on there. But I don't know, sometimes the signature takes away from the painting. So I really try to if I can't figure it out, then I just put it where it normally goes. Keep it traditional.
I get asked about that a lot
Yeah.
by artists. Where is the appropriate place to sign artworks?
Yeah.
And in my opinion, really the back or the front is fine. But the other thing I always mention is, well, what does your signature look like?
Yeah.
Because some people should definitely sign on the back just for that reason. You know, like, do you really want that to be part of it? And then, as we had talked about, your paintings are signed on the back as well with both George Alexander and Ofuskie.
So that's how you know you got a real one, is if the George is back there. So yeah, if you don't have that, come talk to me.
And then the art historians of the future, when they're dating your work, they'll be like, okay, this was the
Ofuskie era.
Ofuskie era. Yes.
Yeah.
So. And then there's a pretty wide range of subject matter in this exhibition. It spans a lot of what you do. Do you want to touch on that a bit?
Yeah, I guess what I'm predominantly known for doing is kind of like these astronaut figures over here. And I started painting the astronaut whenever I was at IAI. And I initially just wanted to try something that I didn't have any sort of relationship to. And so I just got done watching the movie Interstellar, with Matthew McConaughey, and it was directed by Christopher Nolan. And fantastic film, but it just kind of brought this idea to me to try to paint an astronaut, and there was no like inherent meaning to it or anything. It was just I wanted to see kind of where this imagery goes, and so I end up getting a space helmet or astronaut helmet, and I didn't have enough money for a suit. So then I would just kind of put it on my friends, and they were wearing their everyday clothes. And I began to see this metaphor emerge out of it. And I saw this like idea of bringing the perspective of an astronaut down here on Earth. Because when an astronaut looks at the Earth, they only see the Earth. They don't see borders. They don't see race. They don't see religion, politics, or nationality, or anything that would separate you from another person. And I found that to be like really, really beautiful. And I wish we had that perspective down here on Earth. Because I think if we were to disregard the social label, then culture could kind of run fluid with one another. And people would respect it better because it's no longer their culture, it's our culture together. And so a lot of my work has to deal with this like kind of like this unification for humanity. Like these bison, for example, I started painting them probably like a year or two ago. And the idea was that whenever you purchase one, you become part of the herd, and you are now part of this community that will always be with you because you guys have these nice little paintings. And so my hope is one day somebody walks into somebody else's house and they're like, oh my gosh, you're part of the herd. I happen to be part of the herd too. And
I bet it's happened already.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. And initially I was only going to do 100 of them, but I had so many people ask for me to bring them back. And so, yeah, we're like right around 250 at this point. And so for this show I did 12, and I'm going to do a lot more. I don't think I'm ever going to stop doing this because I like that idea of bringing people together. And so this is a great way to do it. A newer thing that I'm working on, which is kind of like this painting here, is the idea of where tradition and technology sort of converge. I don't know why this thought came to my head. At that time, I was playing a lot of I still play a lot of video games, but I was playing this game called Cyberpunk, and it's like it's like this futuristic city, and people turn into cyborgs. And I just thought to myself, like, what would a native cyborg look like? And so I was like, all right, well, I'm an artist. I guess I can make one up. And so this was the first one that I did. And then the idea of like where technology and tradition sort of meet started to play in my head. And I started to think about like older technologies like fire. And fire was once the hottest thing in town, man. Everybody, no pun intended. And there were people that really probably embraced the idea of creating fire. And then there were people that probably were a little bit scared because they were like, we don't really know what this is. We don't know what its capability and what harm it could do or what have you. And so through traditions, through practices and ceremonies, we developed this really great relationship with fire. And just like anything, if you don't respect it, then it could completely ruin a town. It can burn a forest. It could hurt you. So we had to learn how to respect this technology. And in today's time, we have so many brand new technologies, and we take them for granted. We're kind of like at this infancy, especially with like AI. We don't know what the capability of AI is, and if you're anything like me, you probably use it just to ask a dumb question, you know, and you probably do it 2 or 3 times a day, and I don't think that that's what it's for, you know. We have to develop a relationship with AI to see what it actually can do for humanity. And, just like how there were people afraid of fire, there's people today that are afraid of AI for great reason. But it isn't necessarily AI that's the problem. It's humanity and how we're going to use it. So I really like the idea of like thinking about like gods, for example. Icarus flew too close to the sun. And there's always like a metaphor with like gods, and they teach us a lesson and things that we're not supposed to do. I like to think of us as kind of like these newer gods with these technologies, and we are going to develop those stories that future generations will say. And we're probably going to be the example that is either good or bad. But the quicker we start to think about our relationship with these technologies, the better off our humanity will be. And I don't necessarily think that we should be afraid or consider it as like just a bad thing because we don't really understand what it is. I think that we just have to really focus on our relationships with these technologies. And it goes as far as like our cell phones, how are we going to like think about these things, and what sort of traditions are going to emerge out of technology?
Are there any digital or AI art tools that you have experimented with
Yeah.
or thought about? Because
Yeah.
I mean, that's the interesting thing with AI and art right now is there's the art that's completely AI generated, and then there's a lot of questions there.
Yeah.
But then there's also a lot of tools artists can use as maybe a creative collaborator or.
Well, believe it or not, the paint tube was once a very brand new technology, and we don't even think about it like that,
Right, you could just go to the store and
Yeah.
buy it in the tube, and it's
Exactly.
pre-mixed. You're not.
Yeah, before that you had to mix it all, but we slowly accepted the idea that the paint tube was okay. And then whenever I was at IAI, like we were at kind of like at the end of this little era of like not using a projector. Like people thought using a projector would be cheating, but little known fact, Da Vinci kind of invented projecting. What he would do is put a piece of glass in front of his subject and trace on the glass. And then he would take that piece of glass, put it to his canvas, and put a candle on this side, and it would project a shadow where he painted. And so then he would go in and trace that shadow. And so projecting's been around for a long time. Chiaroscuro, where you look through a little bitty hole and you like paint upside down. And so it isn't like it isn't like a new thing. I mean, art's been projecting for years. But when I was at IAI, everybody was like,
Don't do that.
what are you doing? Like, that's disgusting. And so I was like, whatever, dude. Like, this works for me, and I'm a lazy artist, so I'm gonna use the projector. And so
Maybe you're focusing your efforts on other
Yeah.
aspects of the creation.
Yeah.
It wasn't just project and done.
Nah,
Yeah.
I was totally lazy.
All right.
And so when we think about AI and using that in our artwork, for me, that's just like seeing it as a different medium. It isn't like good or bad. It's just what we're going to use it for. And people will use it for the wrong things. And, we're just going to have to accept that. Like the same way that people use fire in the wrong way. We don't ban fire because people use it wrong. Some of us probably still have a lighter in our pocket, and so, I just kind of see it as like a brand new tool that I've yet to really comprehend. But the more that I use it, I think that comprehension will develop, and we'll just have to play it by ear and see what happens, because it ain't going nowhere. It's going to be here. Pandora's box is open. So I encourage everybody to sort of see what your relationship's going to be like with it, because it's a cool thing and it's a scary thing, but anything new is kind of scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you taking it back to fire,
Yeah.
like you said.
Yeah.
So within this exhibition, not only is there a wide range of subject matter, but you can see different movements in art.
Yeah.
You have an interest in realism, surrealism. You've started playing a little bit with some of the visual aspects of futurism, with these movement pieces and interest in technology.
Yeah.
Only it's, some of the futurist philosophies were not the best, but
Yes.
visually
Yeah.
they were
Yeah.
doing some interesting things. A big difference I was thinking about is the futurist had the major rejection of history and tradition,
Yeah.
whereas one of the things I think is so cool you're doing is you're really building on tradition, but exploring technology and contemporary life.
Yeah. If I'm being honest, I think that like our social constructs are kind of obsolete at this point. But we focus, or the people in power sort of want us to be focused on them, because the moment we realize that like I don't have to be Native American to exist, I can just be George and I can go live my life however I want. And the moment we realize that, there's a certain sort of power to that, because now you begin to identify as your own self, and you find your own community in this world. And so I really, really like that. Not that I'm like anti-Native American or anything, or anti my identity. Without it, I wouldn't be who I am today. So in that regard, I want the carrying of tradition to evolve. I want to see humanity kind of take that next leap into evolution, even if it's just societal, And then, what was the other part of that? I forgot what you said. I went on a whole rant. Yeah.
And then I was just listening to you. I guess I was talking about your mixing of, yes, that's what it was.
Yeah.
The mixing of building on tradition.
Yeah.
So unlike the futurists, they were rejecting tradition. You're fully embracing tradition, but building upon that with your interest in technology and modern day life, and just pulling from different places. So less of a question, maybe just more of something I've been thinking about and appreciating.
I'm curious to see like where we go as humanity. I think we're on a very interesting ride right now, and we're kind of like at this like adolescent part. But through adolescence, we tend to grow and learn the best lessons. So just hold on a little bit longer, and we'll be okay. Yeah.
Well, and then so you were in Milan for
Florence.
Florence,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where did I get Milan? You were in Italy.
Yes.
You were surrounded by amazing works by many masters. I would imagine just the art you were exposed to in that time period fuels a lot, of what's
100%.
driving you today.
What I found the most interesting was there's this area that's called, I think it's called like San Michelangelo or something like that. I'm not gonna try to say it in Italian, man. Like, terrible at it. But there was a cathedral that was there, and there was this really cool mosaic of Jesus behind the pulpit. But Jesus was next to a lion, he was next to a cow, eagle, and like a bunch of these animals that represent the zodiacs. And in the middle of the church on the ground is a zodiac calendar. And what in the hell is a zodiac calendar doing inside of a cathedral? And it got me thinking that things ain't exactly what they appear to be. You know, the stories that are told aren't exactly the way that it was. It's just either pure propaganda or like the best version that was told. And if you have to print something, you always print the legend. And I don't know. I thought it was really cool that a zodiac calendar existed inside of a cathedral. And it showed you that, like, at that time, they were trying to make some sort of connection, you know, and however that happens, that's what they were doing. And I really want to, like, just be as honest as I can and not necessarily try to promote something that I'm not. And that's what I found in that cathedral, you know. So.
Is there maybe one piece of art you saw in Italy that was more memorable than others, or maybe influenced you,
Yeah.
or an artist or style, or just something?
I was fortunate enough to be in Italy whenever these 3 shows were going on in Europe. And one of them happens every 5 years, one happens every 3, and the other one happens every 2. And they were the Venice Biennale, Documenta, and the Sculptor Project. And Documenta and the Sculptor Project happened in Germany, whereas the Venice Biennale happened in Venice. And so I would say that, like, there was this really cool piece that was at the Documenta show. And Documenta is a show where it's all about documentation. And it could be as easy as, like, this magazine, or it can be as conceptual as, I don't know, having a table in the middle of an empty room. Like, how can you present documentation in a cool way is kind of like the thing. But there was this one piece that it was at the top of this building, and they were doing this fashion show. And you could go watch the fashion show, and then they were showing off with these shoes. And these shoes were made during the Yugoslavic wars, and they were to help women who were working in factories to stay kind of cool. So they opened up the toe, and then they gave them, like, arch support. And now it's like a very fashionable shoe, and I don't know what it's called, but I bet you have a pair. Like, and so through this, like, through this war, this really cool shoe was invented, but the conditions inside of these workplaces that the women were at were not great. And a lot of these women actually died from working in these factories. And they were poor. Like, they didn't really get paid a lot. And so the artist would allow you to buy the shoe for however much you wanted. But they would question why you wanted to spend that much. So if you